What up, y'all? Welcome. This is Dude Lunch, version 1.0. So far, it's just me and Mike, and Greg's over there ordering food, and Josh is somewhere, TBA.
Today we've got the special on tap.
Today is the special on tap.
Carnifornia burrito.
California burrito. Yes, this is no joke.
If you've never heard of it, you can't afford it.
You. If you've never heard of it, you can't afford it. Yes, exactly. Really excited. We got some cool stuff in store today. Got a little award we're going to give to Greg. He doesn't know about it. And just some other stuff to announce and to discuss and talk about. And so we are really, really excited about the stuff that we got going on. And hopefully, as we go throughout today, we don't get too distracted and we don't say things that we have to cut out. Because I'm really excited to debut this camera for this. Because as I was talking with Mike about, this thing is pretty dope. All the cut scenes that you're seeing, and I don't even know if I know yeah, one has already happened. All the cut scenes you're seeing is all done automatically. So I don't have to do anything. It's literally just plug and play, set and forget. And it's exciting, so. Anywho, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I was just telling Mike about, actually what I was gonna say to follow up on your question was, that entire season 2 of my podcast is like day 2 or 3 times a day. It's like me daily checking in on like what I've been doing to overcome that issue, like to get more revenue and like get more clients and like build it up. And so you should check that out because like I go through it all. And actually that was kind of fun.
Do the clients remain unnamed?
Mostly. Mostly. Not completely. Some of them, you know, they know who they are.
Yeah.
But it's actually been really interesting to notice and to realize that it's like, I hate the term mindset, but how much like positivity and having like a sense of what you're trying to do and being sure of yourself makes such a huge difference. You know what I mean? Like It's insane. So, what up, bruv?
What up?
You sipping down sodies?
Sipping on sodies?
I got the root beer, but I was telling him I don't really drink soda, but whenever I come here, I get a soda because I like their soda machine.
Oh yeah.
This style.
They have the same soda at Rubicon. So like craft soda stuff.
All the cool places.
Right?
How good is
Right?
that?
Right?
That's the special, right?
So
just
you guys
sucked
need
down
to
half
see
of one of
this.
those.
This is like, yeah, Mike, you didn't see this. Mike basically inhaled one half of these about 5 minutes ago.
And I have dinner.
And he's got the rest, the other half of it, which is dinner.
Who are we talking to?
We're talking just to nobody, ourselves for now.
Good.
It's just recording. But yeah, it's exciting. We're super excited about it. I was just telling, filling Mike in a little bit on the situation, like, actually, I don't know how much of it I told you even. Client that
Lay it on me.
that bounced, decided he wasn't going to pay.
But now he's crawling back. I'm just kidding.
No, he is crawling back. He and his entire staff. Actually, this is a good question, I think. When it comes to client work, I know you don't do a whole lot of client work, but like, I respect your opinion about it.
Sure.
There's a line between being fair and going above and beyond, but then also like some sort of a return on going above and beyond.
Yeah.
So to give you specific context, we set an agreement for 1 month. I didn't quite get all the way through the agreement in the allotted month, so I took a little bit of extra time and did that extra stuff. And then at that point is when he said, we're not moving forward. So there's a lot of work that should probably have been done as like a offboarding process.
Yeah.
To like transition a bunch of things, and I did as
Transfer
much of it as I
ownership.
could in the day. Like the day they were like, hey, we're not moving forward, I was like, okay, well, I'm not doing one more thing for you guys.
Yeah, here's everything you need.
Yeah, so I did as much as I could in one day, but now there's probably a month's worth of stuff that I would have done if I'd had a month to do a true offboarding. But now I'm in a situation where I know that he probably expects that would be something that I would naturally do. And I'm of the mind that I don't owe him anything. But at the same, on one hand, I don't owe him anything and he's already burned me, so I'm not really that inclined to like bend over backwards for him again. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but how much of my, like, how much negative, I don't know, how much, not to like be frou-frou and say, how how much negativity am I putting out into the universe?
No, man,
right?
I get it.
But
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, how much in that type of a situation, what would you do? Like, would you? Because I got other stuff. I got other
So
clients
here's my
that I
challenge.
gotta.
Here's what I would challenge you with.
Yeah.
Is try to take like your attitude toward this particular client out of the equation.
Yeah.
And deliver work that you feel proud of and meets the value of whatever he paid, right? Because if he decides, hey, we're not going to move forward with this relationship, and your response is to say, cool, well then I'm not putting another ounce of effort into this project because I know that it's expired, right? That's fine if all you care about is the one-to-one interaction with that person. But the reality is you have other clients, and how you show up for any given project, they may hear about how like the end of this relationship fizzled, right? And this guy, just because he doesn't want to work with you doesn't mean he doesn't like you. It doesn't mean that he won't talk to someone about this or recommend you, right? And so I feel like there's probably a non-emotional approach to this that involves more work, but I think mentally you need to wrap your head around it by thinking about it as like brand rapport,
Sure.
and not just this one client's project. It's like your overall reputation and potentially, lead generation if he were to refer you, and
Right.
you get to say, yeah, I'm proud of all the projects I've done, not asterisk,
Right,
except for the few
this
that,
guy.
yeah, right.
Except for
but
the
I-
guy that pissed me off.
But,
Right.
but also there's gonna be a medium to the level of output that you need to put into his particular projects.
Right.
Like, you don't have to, if he's saying you need to finish all of these things, but I'm not gonna.
Dude, I'm
not-
digging
but
these
I'm
two
not gonna-
tables.
You like them?
Legit,
Yeah.
yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
But he's not going to pay you for your time to do them. Your response can be, and it's fair to say, hey, I know you want to finish all of these projects, but here, instead of doing the projects and finishing it strong, it can be here's what's needed to finish the projects, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's as simple as a Jing video or a Word document or a spreadsheet. I mean, you put an hour into a spreadsheet, and that's gold for him. An hour into a spreadsheet that shows where the projects stand and what what was the last thing I did and what is the next 3 bullet points for. You give that up, then they have he has something from you and he feels taken care of, right?
Sure.
Or I would.
Sure. Sure.
So I think that it's not an all or nothing approach when it comes to what you need to provide.
So
as your
I like that a lot, and I appreciate both of your
Yeah.
responses. I think that makes a lot of sense, and that's one of the things that, especially right when it was ending at first, I kind of saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
And to my own credit, I did do a lot of that. Like, okay, I know that this is ending, so I
have
gotta.
no doubt you did, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so my, I think that's all good. I think one thing that is valuable, that could be valuable as a discussion point, that I think would be valuable, and it would apply in this situation too, is where do you draw the line, right? So between the two. So you're saying it's not necessarily an all or nothing approach. So where do you, where do you say, okay, I delivered what I said I was going to do.
I overextend.
But how far? How far?
To a point where I don't want there to be anyone out there who has a bad taste about the interaction they had with me and my brother. And so I probably give away more than I should, and I probably donate time to projects that should have been, surgically cut off at a certain point. But that's a choice I make.
Sure.
Because I care more about the overall, monkey pod reputation. And I think it's going to balance out. That's my hope, is that, some projects are going to, what?
Right. No, just I would hope too. that it
Yeah, right.
balances out.
That's just the gamble that I'm taking.
Right.
So it's not like, tried and tested, but that's my personal approach.
But that's the art of running a small business, is feeling, and it's what makes a consultant a good consultant. It's feeling subjectively, right? Per project, this client needs a little bit more, or this client needs a little bit less.
Right.
And I think that, that's the soft skills, right? Associated
I think maybe the
to
big,
client work.
I think the big thing for me that I took from what you said is the emotion. I think that by default that tends to be, I default the same way that you do, but I have a block personally, and I would imagine a lot of people are similar, more similar to me than they are to you. You're a bit of a unicorn in this sense, but I have a tendency to be very emotional when I feel like it was a personal slight. Like, because for this particular guy, I feel like I way extended. You know what I mean? Like, but again, that could just be the emotion that I have around that particular situation, expanding or like inflating what I think I actually did. Maybe it was just like I didn't really do that well, but because I was so emotionally invested.
He doesn't understand what you did, right?
Well, that's for sure true.
Well, that can be part of the problem. If he understood that you overextended, then there number one, he probably wouldn't have tried to sever a relationship, and number two, if he is severing the relationship, he's not going to say, you didn't do enough for me. So
Sure.
I think that, I don't know, I just think that brings a little
Well, that brings
bit
up
to
a very
light.
interesting question as well. At
Yeah.
what point, how much of under the hood do you show? I make it a point to not show anything.
Sure, just the result.
But I think that's me, and it puts maybe that's the problem. Maybe the issue is that I've set myself up for this situation because I keep everything under the hood.
Yeah, if you make everything look easy, right, then people assume everything's easy.
Right.
And like the level of appreciation they have for what you do is colored by, it has to be colored by their
Sure.
lens because that's all they have.
Right, because I haven't shown them anything else. And maybe that's just the other
not
end of the
that
stick. It's the same stick. It's like, if I'm going to be the one that no one has to worry about, then I can't get upset when somebody doesn't understand what I did. Like if I'm not going to tell them.
Right, so the clients for you are the people who have tried working with other people and like got sick of the micromanaging or didn't get the results that they wanted, and so what they want is somebody who just plain out delivers, and they know they have an
Right.
idea of what it takes, but they also have like some baggage with them from having struggled on
Yes.
this path before.
Sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I've only had one client that I can think of where I stopped caring about our relationship, and it was a client who signed up as a member. I think I might have told you guys
Yeah,
about
you
this.
told me about it.
And he like paid for 6 months, and then his card expired, and then he like was like, "Oh yeah, I'm getting a new card," and then like 3 or 4 or 5 months went by, and like we were playing phone tag, and it's only $30 a month, so it was like $150 total that he owed me. But I eventually canceled his membership because I can't float him, and I'm not like. And he was like, he would answer the phone and give me total lip service and be like, "Oh, can you resend the invoice?" And then like never take care of it.
Yeah.
And it just felt dodgy. Like I didn't feel good about it, and it's not even that I like threw him under the bus or came after him or anything, but that was the only one where I was like, all right, like we're done, and like I don't need this. It like was wearing on me to the point where I don't know. You could tell me if this is wearing on you, but like it wasn't worth my time to like worry about it anymore. It's like that relationship was done, and like as much as I want 100% batting average of all my clients to be like, yeah, I would work with Greg again, even the people who canceled, I recognize that like I've got a business to run, and I'm not going to let this one thing derail it. So
Yeah. Well, I think
there's my line.
Yeah, I think
guess.
I approached that question from the opposite direction. Like it's the same question, but I think that by default I'm very quick to move to the next thing.
Yeah.
And I think in this case, I think that probably that situation and my situation are more similar than anything else. Like I did for many years overextend for this guy, and because of the biggest thing is because of what I want to do over the next 5 years, I can't be lugging him around, and he's never going to go away.
Right.
There's at some point it has to get cut off, and so anyway.
No, that's it, man. It's like like you have to have a balance, and it has to be a little bit like project by project. I don't know. I think that this was the first time that I had been faced with that situation, so I may be less forgiving the next time around. You know, I had never had a client who I genuinely believed was ducking me. Like everybody, I like to give them the benefit of the doubt. It's never until that experience, it had never really burned me where I felt like taken advantage of. Or felt like, hey, they're being dishonest.
Right.
Like
Right.
Just operate with. Everybody has the best intention. They don't.
Right.
They don't want. They would pay if they could, sort of thing.
Right.
But,
Right. Yeah, that was these. You took the words right out of my mouth. That's how I felt about this guy. But again, it's probably colored by my being emotionally connected to, because the stuff that I deliver is like direct. It's like part of me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, not that your stuff isn't, but
I
it's,
get it.
you're a little bit more distanced, I think,
Yeah.
from the end output.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Anyway, I think it's interesting because that's, especially when you're in client work, working with people in any capacity. There's always that line you have to. I mean, it's any relationship ever. There's that line you have to walk between how much am I putting into this versus how much is this giving me. You know what I mean? And at some point, the scales. At some point, if the scales get too far out of balance, like.
Well, and the not only the relationship between that project, how much am I putting into this versus how much am I getting from it, but also like the relationship your business has with that client and you as a human have with that client,
Yes.
because you're not only the business, you are the fulfillment center for
Right.
your business, and
Right.
it's taxing.
Uh-huh.
And to differentiate between like this email hurt my feelings and this email is bad for business, those are two different things.
Yeah, and that's something that I've always struggled with that, because I've always, in my own head, conflated the two, equated like my business is me, I am my business.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And right now it is just me. But the great irony of this whole thing is that the reason why it finally clicked for me and I started to divorce the two in my head and realize that like my business is one thing and I am the driver of the business was this guy's event. I went to his event and heard him speak on stage, and he said a bunch of stuff and it clicked. And I was like, oh, so things started to get put in motion, made some changes in the business, and then like 2 weeks later he was like, I'm out. And I was like, this is all because of you.
Yeah.
So that probably fed into the emotion as well, but anyway.
And I don't think it's just for you and definitely not just for our niche, but when there's somebody who's hiring somebody else to do work that they don't know how to do, right? From a technical standpoint. Let me think of the best way to put this. I don't want to throw this guy under the bus, but if you don't know how hard it is, it's very easy to default to that didn't take you that much time.
Right, it's a commodity. It's like, well, I bought this thing. I think that's what it felt like. He said, this is what I paid for, this is what I bought.
So that's just something that, you just have to, going into every relationship. The reason why I bring this up is because I think that one of the things that I natively do well is I read who the person is that I'm dealing with. And if somebody needs their eyes opened or their hands held, I make it a point to do that.
Yeah.
This happens with animation projects that I work on, and somebody's
There's
asking.
a total education curve on what you're providing.
And it's if somebody.
It's still food.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
Yeah, we got to make sure we don't throw this away.
Right, yeah, same here. I'm taking this one home
Like
too.
stacking my trash.
But yeah, so if somebody comes to me and they like, yeah, we'll we just want this done.
Yeah.
Well, shine the flashlight on it a little bit.
Yeah.
Take them out of the darkness.
Like help it take shape.
Yeah.
Here's a micro example of that. That's kind of been a hot button for me lately, and this is I don't know.
I'm dying.
I don't know if this is a topic for a blog post or a YouTube rant or something, but I've been taking issue
Like a podcast recording.
with the phrase like, oh, I just have a quick question, or I just have a simple question, because like that, people in all of the groups and anywhere will preface it with like, hey,
And it
just a
almost
quick
never
question.
is.
It's got to be simple, right? But
Yeah, that's another one. This has got to be easy.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone's figured this out.
Right, and so I find myself pausing, like, even in the circumstances where I can't answer it, or I'm like, okay, I know what to test in order to answer it. They've already devalued whatever solution is going to come. They've already assigned, like, it has to be easy, it has to be simple.
Yes.
Like, otherwise,
Hi, buddy.
and why framing it up that way doesn't serve anyone. I'm guilty of this too, right? Like when there are more technical things that I don't understand, I'm like, oh, there's got to be some simple JavaScript that does this, right? Because conceptually, I think I know what it would take, but clearly I don't know how to do it, or I would have done it, right? And the same sort of thing applies, I think, in every that's industry agnostic. It's not unique to Infusionsoft, but so I don't know how to recondition us in the way that we ask questions. I think I think humans probably have a tendency to preface things with that because they don't want to ask too much of other people. They don't want to like be too invasive, and so they just say like, oh, like just need a little bit. Like here's what it's all I'm really asking. But their ability to like define what's simple and what's easy is limited by their own experience and understanding, and so it's just like this contradiction, right? I have this question that I don't know how to answer. I'm sure the answer is easy,
right?
And whoever
for
has
someone
it,
for someone else,
right, and maybe it is, but like, I don't know. I think that maybe it's because I spend so much time answering questions that like I've got an appreciation for
a well-worded question.
Well-worded, but also like an appreciation for what goes into the one sentence or two sentence solution that somebody provides on a thread. It's often testing or years of experience sometimes.
I think we all
or
have
a really good a good example of this too is, or someone asks a question and somebody, because he loves it and wants to, literally gets out of bed, goes and makes a video and is up for like 30 minutes on that is not a simple solution. That's not a simple problem to solve. And I liked doing that, so again, it's not. But like no response from anyone on that. You responded, but like the guy I think that asked the question hasn't even responded on the thread yet. You know what I mean? Like there's things like that where somebody like really dives in. You don't appreciate, like you're saying, you don't appreciate the fact that.
Or it'll be like 3 days later. They're like, oh, thanks for that. By the way,
thanks, I figured it out.
No problem.
It's like.
Or they ask a question on behalf of someone else.
Oh yeah,
like you spend time on it. They're like, oh yeah, they don't want that anymore.
well, this conversation is a human problem, and but I'm gonna say that like my life, this is the daring statement. My life is better and easier because I think about the questions I'm gonna ask. Like
definitely,
and
totally.
And
there is an art to asking questions in a way that facilitates the answers you want.
The simplest way is I get on the phone with a customer service rep with Cox, and I want to get something done.
There goes your afternoon, right?
Yeah, there goes my afternoon, right? But if you know the question to ask, you can get
how
the
to
right
frame
person,
it,
and how to frame it, and what the problem is. You can tick whatever the box is that person is listening for and get to where you want to
And the simple little phrases, I did the same exact thing. I've been like, when I was with Frank, I had a segment where I taught people how to talk to Infusionsoft support. This exact thing.
That's what I'm thinking.
You know what I mean?
It's
the same
chatting
thing.
to Infusionsoft. You need to give them they need information to answer your question.
They need to know not what you think is going on, but why you think that's going on.
What you saw. What did you see?
Yeah, and how can it be recreated? If you haven't tried, don't talk to support until you've tried to recreate it or find it. The more examples you have, the better. Yeah.
I've started having people record videos and send screenshots. Have it ready before you even go in.
Not just Infusionsoft, even though we're using that as an example.
Right.
That's literally any software that
Mike has to defend Infusionsoft.
Yeah. No, but it is.
Mike is wearing the shit out of that shirt.
He really is.
You're rocking it.
He really is.
In a big way.
I have a rodeo after this too.
Yeehaw.
When I was at Maryland this weekend, I went back to my college town for the first time in like 8 years, and there was this group of people who were basically singing. I don't know what they were celebrating, but it was like 9 o'clock at night, and they were cheersing. They were saying, "It's a jolly good fellow, he's a," like cheersing and stuff. Right. And when they finished, I was with my group of friends, and under my breath I said, "Good luck raiding the castle tomorrow, guys." And everybody lost it because the song is just. When's the last time you heard for he's a
Pretty sure it was in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And like just how they were like cheersing their mugs and stuff, it felt very like. Yeah, Game of Thrones.
Yeah, they may have been. I don't know. It may have been some like iteration of like an Oktoberfest style like pub crawl. Like that feels like very like Germany, like sing song and like not obviously he's a jolly good fellow, but it's that time of year anyway.
I love how Greg wanted to say German. I'm assuming you wanted to say Germany as an adjective, and ended up just saying the name of the country.
Yeah. German-ish, Germany.
We're man down.
By the
today.
way, speaking to circle this back to what we were talking about before, there are so many times when I'm trying to like make like a metaphorical point, like use something like that, I stop and I'm like, okay, how do I phrase this so that it makes sense what I'm trying to say, but I don't confuse people? So like what you just said, I would have said Germany, but I would have done German-EY.
Yeah.
So
sure.
that you see that it's a different thing. But it's funny when you say it, like you don't get the same.
Yeah, if I had written that, it would have been German-Y.
Yeah, German, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think it's important, and I love that you brought up like knowing how to ask questions and things.
Yeah.
One of the things I think that is the greatest catalyst for teaching you how to ask questions is having someone you work with directly on a daily basis who gives you this look when you ask them a question that is a dumb question.
Yeah.
For me, it was Eric, my older brother, when we were back at Infusionsoft. This is like early Infusionsoft days. I would go in and ask him a question, and he would say, I don't know what you're talking about. That was his response. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't have the information to answer you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Keep
What do you want? And that got, so then I learned I have to go into that conversation, just like you're saying,
Prepared.
knowing exactly the questions he's going to ask, anticipating the back and forth to shorten the life cycle of that conversation.
So let me address. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say my one other comment is to grow in asking questions is being asked bad questions.
Yes.
Okay.
And not bad, but being asked questions that you don't have enough information.
Yeah.
Because,
Right.
yeah.
Right. We've all fallen
Yeah.
we've all fallen into the trap of like somebody asks a question and you answer it and it turns out like that's not what they needed.
Right.
Like there's a question behind
Right.
the question in a
Right.
situation that like, oh wait, there's a much easier way to do it. Let's go that route.
Right.
But what I was going to say is, if all you care about is getting, like, as a person who needs an answer, if all you care about is getting the answer, then like asking the question is really important. And like with your relationship with your brother, him giving you the look like,
Yeah.
what do you like? Flesh it out. Like,
Yeah.
go, like
Yeah,
come
yeah.
back to me when you're ready. Yeah.
When you come back to me, you know what you're asking.
That's fine probably for coworkers.
Yeah.
It's even more fine for your brother.
Right.
But like the position that I find myself in is I can't make my members feel stupid.
Right.
You know, like you have to be encouraging because and same thing for support reps. They can't be like, hey, I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know, there's like
Dumb question, try again.
Right, there's an art to like helping them extract the information you need, or helping them articulate the information you need so that you can serve them while still making them feel this is valuable.
You
and
probably
this is
do this
important.
better than anyone that I've ever. I mean, you do it all the time, so it makes sense. But you do this really.
It's a
really
learned
well.
skill, though.
Yeah.
Is like there's a balance because you don't. What the worst thing you could do is have them walk away going, well, like that was dumb.
I
or-
can't ask
I
that.
can't
Yeah,
ask
or I'm
questions
not
now.
going to. I don't feel
Yeah,
comfortable again,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And there are people who are afraid to call Infusionsoft support because they're like, I clearly don't get this. You know.
Yeah.
I would love to do. I'd love to have you write a guest post about how to talk to Infusionsoft
Sure.
support, or deliver it as a
Webinar.
Yeah.
a
Video
piece of
or something.
content for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
members
yeah,
or something. 'cause
totally.
I think there's a lot of value to that.
I have a whole
cool.
prezo that I used to do. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Dust it off.
Yeah. I got a lot of old stuff I got to dust off.
I got a master slide deck you can throw it into. Brett's working on cleaning some stuff up.
What else were we gonna chat about today?
Well,
Other
we.
than asking good questions.
You talked to Nolan earlier?
I did.
I called him at like 10:58 and he was like, "Are you with Mike?" Because apparently he switched up with you at 11.
Yeah,
I just saw your hat.
he has a new client or that needs some stuff.
Yeah, I've got another project I want to get his help on. It's not the same scale or scope. I just want to record. I have a vision for like a montage of testimonials, like a testimonial montage, where a bunch of people are answering the same questions and he just cuts kind of between them seamlessly. And so I wanted Nolan's help. I'm going to ask him to edit it. And I wanted his help framing the questions so that I can have people like self-record them and then.
Nice.
Yeah, totally.
So that's what I was talking to him about. But,
Cool. Do you have a quick update? And by quick, I mean as long as it takes on like what the migration like feedback has been, or like have
Yeah.
people watched it other than us?
have you guys watched it?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Jamie watched it until like this weekend. And, like,
But I watched the raw footage of it.
Okay.
I watched everyone when
Yeah.
I first got it.
So let me refill and I'll tell you all about it.
Yeah.
'Cause that.
Can you do a refill
Yeah,
for
what do you
me? Surprise me. Something dark.
Bring him a short sample, please.
With a little ice, please.
Yeah, I sat down. That's the reason why I did that video of myself. sitting down, because I sat down and watched the whole thing all the way through, just like I had some old Costco popcorn that I hadn't eaten.
There you
And
go.
I was like, let's do this.
Costco pre-popped or unpopped?
No, the cheddar caramel combo
gotcha.
mix. It's
the really healthy stuff.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. This was before the no sugar,
Yeah.
except in public.
Thank you, sir.
Where's Josh?
He just he's out, man down.
Oh, man down on Josh. Too
I had
bad.
a thing, a Skype call or something.
Oh, yeah. I
No,
got that message, and my first thought was, who's still using Skype?
Dude,
the-
Skype's great.
love
I haven't
Skype.
used Skype in so long.
He
My hobbies
just
all
he
use
just
it.
texted and said that there's a fire that he has to put out, so he can't
Oh,
come.
yeah.
Classic.
Probably Koenig's. Anyway,
So you guys, I've had this like tumultuous relationship with the migration project, as I'm sure you either have gathered or you've heard me explicitly say.
yeah.
And so I was like, I felt this inordinate amount of pressure to like be done with it, get it launched, get it live. Like I just had labored over it for so long. I think mentally it had taken up so much of my time that I assumed I transcribed that like investment of my energy, and like I translated it into like excitement from other people, and like I assumed everyone else was like, yeah, like let's get it out
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
Meanwhile, like you guys spent a day on it in May, and then like have been like living your life and running your businesses like independent of this project that I've done like. I don't know. It's been the majority of my, or
Focus,
not the
yeah.
majority, but a significant portion of my focus for 4.5 months.
Yep.
So when I launched it, it was very much like, I don't know, it's like I built an amusement park and I like opened the gates and I was like, hey guys, nobody knows I've been working on this. Like, where the hell is everyone, you know? And I've been there was a 100-person wait list, people who had like signed up to hear about it. And so I like told it to them, and you know, it's been good, but I don't know what I was expecting. Like, my biggest fear about this project was who is it for, and how will we get it in front of the people? Because it's such a specific like intersection of those tools. I don't know. I think 100 people have started it. And I think we're closer to 200 people who, as far as people who have like opted in for access. So I'd say about half of them have started it, and 30 have, maybe 25 or 30 have finished. But like as you might imagine, it's like 100 people started the first chapter,
Yep.
65 finished the first chapter, 57 started the second chapter,
Right.
55 finished. You know, so it like trickles.
What's the deal with like has Access Ally talked to you about it at all?
Yeah, so I
Have you asked for feedback?
they were running an affiliate contest. I don't know if you guys saw that. They like ran an affiliate contest during the month of September, I guess. And I was like, ooh, like my thing is gonna like coincide with your affiliate contest.
Do you want to
And-
use it?
No, I just said like, don't include me in the prizes because you sponsored this project. It's not fair to like, you know, to do that. But I ended up winning the most traffic during that period. And so they were like, Greg, where do you want us to send your Apple Watch? And I was like, no. Like, thanks.
Wait, so you did not accept that as a gift?
I gave it back. Yeah, they gave it to the next person. But I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I didn't plan to win. Like I declined it up front, and then like it just made me. I was like, am I being tested? Like, and then, like put your money where your mouth is. Yeah. So I gave him back the Apple Watch.
That's nice of you.
But it was cool that like knowing enough people clicked, like that whatever I recommend has enough. I don't know what winning meant. Like the most traffic may have been 10 people. I'm
Right.
not sure.
Yeah,
But
did they tell you that they liked the content?
Access Ally?
Yeah.
Oh, they're thrilled.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Access Ally
That's
is
what
thrilled.
that's more what I'm asking. Their outlook on
Yeah,
it.
I don't think Jeremiah or anyone, I'm not sure if anyone from Infusionsoft has watched it. But that's okay. Like, it's not for them as much
it
as
could-
like,
But it's for
could
their
be-
audience.
It could be.
Right?
it
I
could-
agree.
Yeah.
But so I've actually reached out to, all right, so the project launched, I sent it to everyone who was waiting, and then I started promoting it, right? I've probably spent a couple $100 on a series of small videos that I've been doing to like get some traffic to it. I've got 2 different opt-in pages. I gave affiliate links to all of my 125 Monkey Pot affiliates so that they can promote it. and like there are people watching it. It's capturing leads. It's not like going gangbusters, but yeah, it's like I'm pretty pleased with the feedback. The only people who have replied have been like, "This is awesome. This is exactly what I needed. I used this tool. I had no idea. This like I'm getting ready for a project like that." And so I've got a couple screenshots that I've sent to like Natalie and
Good.
to Nolan that are like really validating. But
Natalie.
that's it. Natalie is the Access Ally founder.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, Natalie Lucier. So the like
Plus this?
yeah, I don't know if they've watched it all.
Yeah.
Bryce has been at an event, and the feedback that he did give me was that the music was just louder than he would have. It was like this. He was distracted by the music in the first chapter. So,
Okay.
which was that's fine. I welcome the feedback. So that's one of those examples of like, I had to tell him like, hey, if this is important, I can fix it. But I need you to know that in order to fix it, I'm going to go to Nolan, who has to separate those two tracks
to
and
pay
dial
for
down the volume on
yeah.
one, and then he's going to republish it, transfer the MP4 back to me, and I'm going to upload it back into Wistia to replace the current file. Like, I can do that. But are you just saying it was a little loud, or are you saying it's too loud? Can you fix it? Right? Like, that's
Right.
one of those
I didn't
people
notice
don't.
that.
Right? I didn't either. So that's why I wanted to know, like, how important is this to you?
Where was it too loud?
I don't know. That's what I said. Are there specific examples? Like, what, was it like this minute marker or something where you felt like?
Did he reply to that?
He said chapter 1 was where I noticed it, but that's the only chapter I've watched. So I don't know. I haven't done anything about it yet, but that's the only real like negative feedback I've gotten was that. Now, I did see I don't personally love chapter 2. I think it's. I think I don't love it because I'm aware of how I was feeling during that chapter. That's where Jamie shows me like what's been done, and I'm like, that's fine. You know, just because I didn't know Access Ally doesn't control how it looks. It controls what they see, and I just didn't get it. And so chapter 3 is where I like have that realization, and chapter 4, like it just gets better from there. But there is a big drop off in chapter 2, and then the people who make it to chapter 3 and 4 and 5 like pretty much finish the whole thing. So like it carries them through pretty well. I did build automation in, right, because we're using plus this to tag on each of the chapters.
Yep.
So I built automation in. If they start a chapter and don't finish it, 2 hours later it's like, hey, saved your spot. Here you go. And if they finish a chapter, don't start the next one, 2 days later, it's like, hey, here's that next chapter, and like a teaser about what's in the next chapter. Mm-hmm. And then on both of those, if a week goes by and they still haven't, there's a follow-up email that's like, did you know you can watch these videos on 1.5 speed? Sometimes I'm a little verbose, and it just gives them like a little screenshot of like the controls for that. So that's it, just to like drive consumption. And there are like 2 or 3 or 5 people in each of those junctures kind of making their way through. So. Yeah, I mean,
I'm
it's
trying
good.
to think if there's articles that talk about membership site building.
Yeah.
That like if you Google like how to create a membership site or something like that, where we could pixel it for your targeted ads, like ones that one URLs. You know how you can run like PPC Google ads to certain URLs.
Speaking of which,
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm sure that you can.
Yeah, so like in Google Ads, you can put in preferred like URLs or whatever, where you if they have ads on the site, you can run PPC ads. Maybe there's articles about helping
Yeah,
membership sites
got
because
it.
I feel
So you
like
could-
it's
within
pretty
like
targeted
their ad
audience.
network, you can have That's a good point. I did. So part of the Access Ally promotion during that month was to publish a blog post. Like you get a $5 Starbucks gift card or something, which I accepted, by the way. So I published a blog post. Why did I choose Access Ally? And I think it answers some really good questions. But several times throughout the blog post, I also mentioned the documentary. So it's like one hand kind of feeds the other.
Right.
So I like your idea though, because there are lots of Access Ally partners and Access Ally reviews that are out there.
That's what I'm thinking.
But
Who are the people that we're looking for? People who are thinking about building a membership site or
Yeah.
have a membership site.
More anecdotal feedback. Jamie DeBose said she's had several people reach out directly as a result of this, asking about building a membership site or like
Oh, nice.
working with her. She said she's had an uptick in business, and some of them are clearly from the documentary, and even the ones that didn't mention it may also have heard of her through it or
Nice.
whatever. So that's good.
yeah.
Yeah, overall, I'm really pleased. I've been I don't know, I've spent so much time on this that I could feel myself struggling to move on. Like I'm just like trying to massage it, trying to like fan the flames, and what I need to do is just be like, okay,
It's out there.
yeah, what's next? And like turn and like focus on moving forward, but I haven't yet. So,
Well, in that vein,
yep.
something that might help with that, might not, I don't know. Mike and I spoke, what was it, a week and a half ago?
To
something
the
like that.
academy.
We spoke to the Academy of great content, and
Good.
we voted, and we decided that of all the content that had been put out in the last, decade or so,
I would say 100 years.
100 years, the last
Yeah.
century, that
Easily.
the migration easily wins the award.
Oh my God.
So we got for you your very own Oscar. So I'm going to show this to the camera, what it says on there.
Wow.
So you can read that.
Podumentary.
Yeah, so Academy of Great Video and Helpful Content, the migration for Best Podumentary.
This is
You
this,
guys.
this is
Speech.
Monkey Pod's first award.
Very first of many, first of many,
Oscar
I'm like,
of many yet to come.
I'm genuinely moved because this project has been a beast, and it has surprised me in so many different ways, and I'm really effing proud of it.
You should
so
be.
so were we just
Yeah,
being the
you
friends.
should
That's
be.
why we thought
Thanks.
of
Yeah.
doing something.
Yeah.
So we got
this
you
is
a
awesome,
plastic
guys.
trophy.
This is awesome. Yeah, I'm excited about
It's not real gold.
this project, but I'm probably equally or maybe even more excited about projects like these, you know, because
Yes.
this was like opened my eyes
Yeah.
to a different way of like thinking, and now as I'm like talking to other business owners and stuff, I find myself like looking at it from a new lens, and I'm excited about it. So
I want to start doing some business development for this, like in terms of starting to contact other people and other subjects. Like, I don't know if that's my role in all of
Yeah.
this, but I want to start having conversations about how we can create more projects like this.
Yeah, I think-
and get paid and
Well,
So
and the
here's-
big,
all
the
those
big
types
thing
of
about it
things,
too,
yeah.
this is something that hit me this morning. Sorry to cut you off, Greg.
That's all right.
Something hit me this
Now that
morning
you have
was, yeah, you made your speech, my turn.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Well, something that hit me this morning is that as
the Academy of Great Video Content. Okay.
as by the way, that took me 30 minutes to come up with that. Just want
That's
you to know.
great.
I'm letting you know all the effort that went into that. As technology and the tools that we use, the technology used to be the cool thing when we got started. It was like, we use Infusionsoft, this is the technology, and I think for the next 10 years, what's going to become more and more, what's already starting to be, but what's going to become more and more valuable to the marketplace is not going to be the technology, but the minds behind how to use the technology. And I think that what you have come up with, which is now in its infancy stage, is this idea of creating content that showcases technology, using technology, and people
Yeah.
actually like digging in and and manipulating the way things work. I think showing that, although I think we might be right at the very, very bleeding edge of that becoming something that's more mainstream. I really think, based off of our last conversation, I really think it's like there is huge potential.
You're talking about the walking
I'm talking
conversation
about,
we had?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm talking about doing the migration, but like season 2.
Yeah.
Right?
So I've thought a lot about it, and I actually started like scripting out not scripting. What do they call it?
Business plan?
No, what do they call it with like scene by scene
Storyboarding.
storyboarding?
Nice.
Yes, not scripting. For
Topic.
for Scott Richens, my buddy, the surf instructor, for like what his project would
Oh,
look
yeah.
like.
Scott Richens?
No, not Scott
Not
Richens.
Scott Richens.
Scott Shepard.
Yeah.
Shout out to Scott Richens.
Yeah,
His
shout out to
birthday
Scott Rich-
is today.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Happy
Is that
birthday
why he
to
was on your
Scott.
mind?
It probably is.
Happy
I had a
birthday,
conversation with
Scotty
him
Rich.
just
Does
the
anybody
other
have
day.
him on like Google or Facebook? We should call him and sing happy birthday.
Scott Richens, that's a name from the past.
Yeah.
Would we all be sitting here, at least Greg and I, without Scott Richens? Probably not. You
I
probably
definitely
would be.
would. Well, I'd be here by myself.
Okay.
Hey guys.
So
Sorry,
Scott
continue.
Shepard,
Scott
Yeah.
Shepard, yes.
who's wants to take his side hustle into more of a serious business, and it's
Leveling
little
up.
early, but I think the name is going to be full-time side hustle, which I'm into.
Ooh.
Nice.
Because that's a
But
real
there's
thing.
no surf puns in that.
Well,
I'm
but
just kidding.
it's not for surf.
No, I know.
people.
No, I
It's
know.
about this the
Leveling
side,
up.
Yeah,
Sure,
making the side hustle
sure.
full time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, there's a number of tools that he needs, a website builder, a scheduling tool, a payment processor, who all could be potential sponsors for a project like that. I think bringing Nolan out, or some videographer to capture like initial conversations around the goal would also prove for an opportunity to get like footage of Scott, drone footage of Scott surfing, or footage of
Yes.
Scott on the
Yeah,
beach,
yeah,
like running a lesson, and that could also turn into his like mini course that leads into his surf lessons, right? I've got I don't know what his vision is for his business, but I've got one.
We got to find out for you, buddy.
And I agree that doesn't necessarily need to be the next project, but that's the one that's been on my mind.
But why not?
Well,
If we can line up the costs
right
associated.
Why
to
not
it.
would be scope.
Yeah.
It's like a big undertaking.
Yeah.
Is he needs like all of the infrastructure, and there also may be some more like legalistic challenges, because I think if he's going to incorporate and like file like an LLC paperwork, I think he needs to have like a license to conduct these lessons. And I think when you apply for a surf like license, you're restricted to certain beaches. So like he's kind of just been doing it on the side under the table.
Right.
And I think that the more like we take this seriously, the more restrictive it may end up being. So like those would be the reasons why not.
Gotcha.
But I think I think Scott's the type of person where he'd be like, really relatable. He's a teacher who like has this side business that like he really enjoys doing and is great at, and he wants to like take it more seriously. But technology is not his like arena.
Right.
Insert this team, right? And
Right.
between us and our collective networks, like I don't know. I just picture like the transformation of like Scott was taking PayPal payments on the beach, and now he's got like a Facebook ad driving to like a 3-video series that helps make people like interested, but also like show up more prepared for his lessons. And we've specifically targeted, Phoenix residents who come to Arizona during this month,
Right,
and, like
right.
filled his book of business for the next year.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I just
yeah.
picture like a really self-contained like funnel, because it's literally starting from scratch. But I'm wide open to doing something within one of our businesses. The other idea we talked about was the automated webinar, which I've got an appetite for. My problem is I don't know that I want to do that sooner rather than later. So I don't know that like it's realistic to use it for the next project like this. But they don't all have to be the like 6 2.5 hour long pieces of content, right? Like they can each kind of take their own shape. But I'm flexible.
Yeah, yeah, I like the idea too of the other thing, to your point, we don't have to necessarily wait to do the work for him and even start filming. It just wouldn't be something we would release until later, because there's more stuff that needs to happen. Like I see that as a massive like going out to the like opening up our audience much more. But I also see that I think there's one step between what we did and that, which is us in a more controlled environment, like one of our businesses in a more controlled environment, coming up with something we can do that kind of bridges between the two. Because the migration was designed obviously as a piece of content that people could benefit from, but not as like season 1 of a 12-season show.
No, of course, right.
So season 2 could be the transition between the first thing we did, the pilot, which the pilot never really relates to anything else in the rest of the season anyway.
So
right?
how the episodes get chopped up is obviously up in the air.
Right.
I personally like when I hear the surfing idea, that to me is obviously a totally different concept, because it's not about a tool and helping people do a specific thing in their business necessarily.
Right.
It's how to level up a business across.
It's not micro tactical. It's
Horizontally,
like it's a macro.
everything
Right.
that you need to do, which is cool. But then to me, we're getting more into like the profit type of feel, where it's like the episode is related to the business that we're working on, rather than the technical execution for accomplishing a goal. And that's why, like, to me, doing something, especially from a sponsorship standpoint, and I don't know if this is to be true or not, but it's, to me, if I'm like a Shopify or if I'm a webinar jam or whatever it is, it's sexier if I'm just saying, I don't know if this is to be true,
It's
but
sexy or
if the
what?
episode is specific
Yeah.
to the tool, or an outcome related to my tool, than
Yeah.
it is leveling up a whole business and I'm just
So
on the
my
side.
the storyboard says
Yeah.
like the initial conversation is like round table like this with, hey Scott, like what's your current reality and where are you at and what have you been doing? Like take stock assessment. Here's where we are, and then it closes with whoever the project manager is saying, cool. Here's what I heard. We need a website, we need a scheduling tool, we need a way to accept payments, and we need some sort of email follow-up system to help guide people through that journey and like maps out those things. And then here are the specialists I've brought in for those specific things. This person's gonna own the website, and like this person's gonna own the scheduling, this person's gonna own the payment processing, this person's gonna own the email. And then those
Each of those
individuals
steps.
get to be like, cool, here's the tool I've selected for this project. Based on what Scott said, these are the things that are important to him.
That makes
These are the
sense.
tools that meet that. So you profile each tool under the context of like, here's where we're going, and then here are the 4 building blocks that got us there. Or maybe there's 5, maybe there's 3, I don't know.
I
But
think
like,
it sounds interesting.
Yeah, I
Do
like
you
that
guys
too.
Think it sounds
Yeah.
interesting?
Tell us in the comments below.
I think
But
that's
seriously,
no,
tell us in the comments below.
that makes sense to me, and that allows you to not be episode specific for the tool, but chapter specific or whatever it may be.
yeah, I just like the migration was. Don't get me wrong, like I'm super proud of it, but it was
niche.
almost too nuanced.
Yeah.
Where like the people who I think are getting the most value out of it are existing Access Ally users who are like, oh, cool, and like, yeah, this validates a lot of the stuff, or people who have been thinking about Access Ally, right, are right on that cusp. But you know, but like I said, my fear was that the audience would be really like a subsection of a subsection, and so the appealing part about something like Scott's story is I think there's a lot of just people who either want to start a new business or want to start a business or want to just take their side project a little more seriously, but don't know what that path looks like. And so I'm picturing this as like a not a step-by-step, but like a living case study.
Yeah,
almost.
yeah.
The most common question, I think, one of the most common questions we got in Infusionsoft University was like, do you have any examples? Like, what are other people doing? And like, that's what people want, is we just want to know what other humans like us, who's already done this, what's
Right.
working. That's the whole reason for funnels and or for blueprints and for
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
swipe copy. It's because like somebody's mapped this out. Where's the map? And I think a lot of that exists on these really micro scales, but there's this missing void with like the overall small business landscape.
Sure. That's why I like the idea of chunking a project into a season and chunking the individual tools into episodes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like I don't think you could have gotten everything that was relevant and valuable. I don't think it would have been as valuable
to do the migration.
if you did the
and, like,
migration
here's the episode
in
on
30
Access Ally.
minutes.
Here's
Well, yeah. So my thought is, I don't know that the migration, it would have been, I think, helpful and impactful, definitely. But I think there are some of the specific pieces of nuance that we would have lost if we tried to condense that into one 45-minute episode.
Right.
Or 30-minute episode, right?
I agree with that.
So there are some pieces. So I think I really like the idea. I think it went well. And because it was a journey for you, I think that makes sense. That was the kind of, the journey was part of the way the story was told.
Yeah.
But I think, to Mike's point, I think that it's kind of everybody wins. We get sponsorships. People are happy because we can get individual episodes that are like, this is the thing that we chose. This is how we're going to build this out. And then there's 5 or 6 of them, like an intro maybe thing, and then like toot, and
But
then
even
this is the end result, bringing it all together.
Right.
But that just requires a lot of planning because we have to commit to the project, decide what the tools are, and then go and try and find.
I don't know. I
sponsorships
guess
and
my
stuff.
question is, if you close your eyes and like imagine like the Netflix season page, what does it say next to the episode? Does it say the migration, a marketing a software company transitions a membership site to blah blah blah? Episode 2, a surfing company builds an e-commerce platform. Season 3, what? I'm not making that up. Season 3, a t-shirt company runs their first automated webinar. Season, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm saying season, but I mean episode. The point is how that designation I think kind of helps guide what it looks like more, or does it have nothing to do with that it's a surfing company?
I think
and it's
that-
specific to
I like
the
the storytelling.
tactical
I
outcome.
like storytelling,
Yeah.
just like you said. I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
I think that
I
the
still
common
think it makes more
theme-
sense to be seasons, but
Yeah.
I think the common theme is contextualizing segments in the small business journey, and like the segment that the migration contextualizes is building or transitioning a membership site, which is a common enough theme. It's a
Sure.
little nuanced or niche for the first, foray into whatever this space is, but we didn't plan to do that,
right, right.
And so I think it makes a lot of sense to do something that either that broadens things up, or reaches a broader audience, or like is a more common part of the journey. Or maybe that's the same thing, Whereas I think, yeah, it doesn't have to be starts their side business or takes their side business more seriously. It could be builds a website, like lower hanging fruit that like I think more people have struggled with or thought
Sure.
about or aren't sure about.
Well, I think that brings up I think that's for me what as I look at, and maybe I'm just using the surfing school as my like template in my head, but I like the idea of each episode having something that you can draw people into. Originally, my thought was that the projects themselves would have a large enough scope that it would need to be a full season to really do it justice. But if we decided that the projects
I
were
see.
smaller, number one, we can move faster, we can get them done quicker. Maybe we don't get as big of sponsorship deals, but we're a little bit more agile and we can put out content a little bit more readily.
Yeah.
The other thing, the downside though, is that the way seasons traditionally have worked, like you release the season all at once. So we probably would have to work a little bit longer, do more projects before we could release a full season.
Yeah.
Right?
I see.
But at the same time, or we have to commit that for the next 6 weeks, every week or every 2 weeks, we're going to do another project, which I feel like is a bunch of extra work. So
Yeah.
if we can make,
I mean, we haven't figured out how this is gonna,
we don't,
how to monetize this.
yeah, we have no idea, or at least how to pay for it.
Well, sponsorships.
Well, we kind of know how to pay for it. But
Yeah, I mean, like the migration hasn't earned money for me, but it has captured leads.
Sure.
And it may earn commissions long term from people who end up using the tools that were recommended. But so I guess my vision was, like this is a 2 project a year type thing, with the projects being a little bit more involved. Now, it's also worth saying that when we started the migration, I wanted a 30 or 40 minute piece of content, and it turned into 2 hours and 40 minutes. So we just need to acknowledge that
Right.
the story is going to tell itself, and regardless of what we plan out, it may
Other form.
surpass that. Now, I didn't like script or storyboard anything with the migration. We were just like, let's see what happens,
Right.
and it was good, but we definitely could have been more efficient. And so that's where I'm coming at this with, like, now that we've done one, where are the lessons that we can learn from, and,
Right.
and how would those change the way that we do it in the future?
Well, the other thing that just popped into my head, just to think about, and not to throw the proverbial wrench, but what you said about the story telling itself. Maybe we're trying to approach this from too much of a micromanaging. We're trying to micromanage the story too much. Maybe it's instead of trying to say this season is going to be this project and put all of our eggs in the basket of that project. Number one, working. Number two, being successful.
Yeah.
Maybe what we actually do is we just plan to tell the story of us trying.
Yeah.
So season 1 is not this project, or season 2 is not with this project. The season 2 is the next 6 months of us deciding on a project. It's these, but the problem there is that we have to put ourselves more in the hole financially, because we got to get either Nolan out here, or we got to get somebody else to start filming, so that could be something we can. I mean, this by itself is going to be great, and this could feed some filler content for it. I think a lot.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't like. If we're gonna, I really like how high quality the migration was when it was released, like with, the background music and all that. Like, it was just very, very well done, and I feel like that's what sets it apart from
You
other.
didn't feel like the background music was too loud?
No,
Or?
Bryce, you and I are gonna have words. No,
I didn't think that.
Yeah.
But I love Bryce.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, totally. So that might
teasing,
be.
yeah.
What if Bryce has the most insane Bose noise
Yeah, he
canceling
just-
headphones and he hears things on a completely
That's probably
different
true.
spectrum?
Actually, have you had
like dogs?
He's a superhero.
He's a superhero.
Yeah, if you
All
blow
right,
a
I take it
dog
back, Bryce.
whistle,
I
if
take
you
it
blow a
back.
dog whistle, Bryce goes.
He's like, huh? He's like
Yeah.
Superman. So anyway, what if it's not so much What if the documentation is not something that we make, but something that we just record? You know, like when we say like we want to document the process of going through this, because I feel like we might end up, like even the process of coming up with an idea, getting 3 months into a project, and then realizing that it's not going to go where we wanted it to.
Yeah.
That in and of itself might be, and then it's like we don't have to worry about the specifics of what's going to happen when, and we can still like storyboard out the way that this project would go, but that becomes the content instead of and then the finished product would be instead of like a Netflix style show, it would be, this is the movie of what we just did, and then this, and in fact maybe this is the solution, maybe what we're talking about with seasons and episodes is literally just us getting together every week and recording us planning and discussing, and then when we finish a project, it's like what you guys were talking about with Entourage, where we record.
It's like the DL.E1 is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. It's weekly many letters.
I think that's filler content, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like, the problem is I don't know. I think we should try it, first of all. I think we should just pick something and go for it. But I suspect that we would be placing a little bit too much, we would be leveraged, I think, too far into one project. And if it doesn't work, like we knew we could control your project because you knew what the end was and it was going to happen regardless.
Right.
You knew you were going to get there.
Right.
You knew it was going to be a better setup because you knew that Access High was better than Customer Hub for what you're doing in that moment.
Yep.
But like for him, we might spend 6 months and not get him any closer to actually living his job. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
I don't know.
Right. I don't know that he wants to leave his job, although that may be an ultimate byproduct.
Well,
that would be a cool twist to
I
it.
just mean like expected result may not be the result that actually happens, and it might even be like a step backwards.
Fair enough. Yeah.
You know, just to.
But I think in 6 months there are a number of things that we can control. We can guarantee he'll have a website, he'll have a scheduling tool, he'll have a funnel, and like we can launch Facebook ads. So like there's a set number of variables that we are in control of. Now the results that it creates are kind of up in the air, and his appetite to take it, like to run with it and to invest in it long term. Who knows?
Sure. Well, my thing is, I think it makes, from a planning perspective, I like it's a little bit easier for us to plan to just say, well, we're going to go build you a website, and that's like step one of a project. But it's not like this season we're going to try and set up a business for a guy. We're going to turn this in, like the season is this. It could just be,
I see.
Let's just document, and then as we talk to him and as he commits to it, that could become an episode. You know, I'm just like.
There's so many different directions.
Yeah.
That it could go. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I have a 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I expect to go too.
we were supposed to talk about fun animation things, and because we have all of it, you sent an email yesterday.
Yes.
And I already sent it to Greg and to Peter. I guess you didn't. The email got lost in some way, but everything is in that Dropbox folder. Okay. So we have everything that we need.
You have Sam
those are being worked on.
Those are done. Okay.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean we can't set up. We can set everything up for everyone else's and then just duplicate it for the other one. But those are ready. And Pete, the timeline for Pete says
December, right?
December, yeah. But it doesn't mean we shouldn't start working.
I think it's the cost question is the big thing. I think Greg mentioned that, but also I think it makes sense when we start to craft the sponsorship question, when we go and approach Dobbin and Daniel and other people.
Yes.
If we can bake that into whatever the cost is and then determine how much Greg's going to subsidize, how much we're going to subsidize, then.
So as soon as you have I'm about to confirm. I have an Upwork message out right now to the animator that I've chosen to do Sam's and Mandy's. But it's just, it's not, right now, it's not a consistent cost.
Right. Well,
like
how much,
I said,
do you know how much you spent in total so far? Even just to get us a baseline.
I spent, I charged Greg $100 more than cost for both of the.
How much was it? Because I don't know.
700.
700. Okay.
There was one that was 700, one that was 600. I don't know which was.
How much did you spend on? How much did you spend on Benji's?
Benji's was independent, right?
How much did you spend on it? I'm just using it for averaging.
How much did I spend for the actual animation? $250.
Okay.
For the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That just gives me like a starting point, so we know. Okay, if we average it out and we said, if you give us, $300, Greg matches that with another 100 or 150, and that gives you us a budget of making the
number of
animation plus some ad budget, and I've come up with some cool ways that we could incentivize people to give us either more budget or share their audience with us to grow the podcast and some other things that way. So okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But
I want to get like more of a spreadsheet built for you, but I want to confirm with the animator. Number one, is that scalable? And I don't see, my whole thing is I don't see it being the same I don't see it being, the reason why I'm like so about it is because I don't see the process from an animation standpoint being the same every time.
Right.
And working with the same people and the same distance of clip and
So what's your
all the
worry?
things.
Your fear is that like if we show people like this is what we did in the past and then we give them something
Not
different?
that, it's more for you guys. I don't even
The
care
cost
about
part
that.
of it?
I'm talking about the cost part of it.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you it's going to be
Got it.
$250 per clip because we might want to do one that costs $400 because the animator we're using this time is going to do a longer thing.
Well,
that
all we
looks
have to
cooler.
do is
Yeah.
make a guesstimate of what we want to
But we
approach
could do a
them with.
range. We
If
could
we
do a
approach,
range.
because we want to be
Yeah.
able to approach them and say, here's what a sponsorship, this is what this would look like if you want to put in some money for sponsorship. We can get this to all this kind of stuff, and then we can work out how to make up the difference.
But we could do
amongst
a
ourselves.
range. I could stop being annoying about it. That's the only word. I could do a range, and I would be a little bit more aggressive in the top end of it, just because I just don't know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But let's do that. But we have time to do it. But I'd like to in the next 2 weeks at least start building.
Well,
the
I want to
audiences
start
and
having the
stuff.
conversation
Yeah.
because it's going to take. I'm going to say I want to
gonna
talk to
go
them
fast.
next week. Well,
Yeah.
I want to say I want to start talking to them next week, and then it's going to take until the end of November or the end of October before we actually have real conversations. That means we have November to negotiate, figure out exactly what it's
Yeah.
going to be, and then it's December. Then it's the go time.
Yeah.
You know, and well, we would have already wanted to have been promoting for all of November because we want to lead up to. season
You weren't
2,
on the
so.
call, but Pete and Mark were juiced.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if he's talked to you about it.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Like I don't
I'm just
feel
telling you,
like
Pete.
I'm excluded at all.
Pete was excited.
Pete was literally like, "Can you send me Greg's? Like, I want to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Can you send me?"
He
can
got
you
on.
send
He
me
hadn't seen
Daniel's?"
any of them, and I was like, "Yeah, no, they look pretty sweet." He's like, "Okay," and he's Pete, so he was,
Yeah.
was like his normal
Yeah.
self, and then he started seeing him, and he was like, "This," like the look on his face was,
Yeah.
it was brilliant. It was
That's
great.
Yeah.
So he's
That's
excited.
awesome. Good.
Yeah.
He's like, "I want to see him. I want to see him." It was a good feeling to create something that even if it doesn't monetize anything for him, he was pumped.
What about that as a project?
There we go.
We got
It's a great-
zero
it's a great
traffic for this
project.
podcast. Let's set some benchmarks and start measuring and start recording and see.
Well, we Josh and I have already talked about that because we need a staple case study to show people how one of the ads, I haven't talked to you about this yet, that I want to run is the still image versus the animation.
Oh yeah,
Dude,
Because I want to see the click-through rates associated with the same ad
how
spend.
about kill 6 birds with 1 stone?
Yeah.
I love it.
Do all those things.
Yeah, let's do it all
Do
at
you
once.
guys like that idea?
Totally.
Yeah, totally.
Because that would be massively helpful.
Well, the
for
nice
us.
thing about it is
podcasts
that
are hot right now.
yeah,
Yeah,
if
I
we
know.
have
God,
a
it
project
frames up
and a little bit of
folklore.
budget,
Oh,
yeah, we can frame
yeah.
everything up. We get the data for you guys. The whole, yeah, dude, I like that.
That's it
Yeah,
right
it's
there.
brilliant.
You guys are getting me
You guys just
excited
witnessed
right
some
now.
brilliance.
Yeah.
Get excited.
So I want to show you. We just got. So you know how I've said I wanted to get a little outro animation built for when we do a project. We're gonna attach it to the end of the projects, and obviously they'll be able to remove it, like if they just want to use it. But we want to add into our final projects, like this animation was created
Yeah.
by, blah 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 blah. Check this out. I really love it. It's so simple. We can show the camera too because it's only 7 seconds long. If the internet works here.
I can also superimpose it before I upload the
Cool.
video because
So this
I'm
is
a G like
such
that.
a simple outro animation. Why isn't this working? Vimeo?
Vimeo is
We got to get sponsorships from these people who are getting free plugs.
Is it Blick? Well,
Blick
like-
and Funnel Hacker. Oh, ClickFunnels, yeah. Funnel Hacker.
wow. Vimeo is not being mobile friendly right now, but that's okay. So you guys can see it anyway. Here, it's really simple.
Oh, nice.
Genius.
I like that. I love
Isn't
it.
that cool?
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, man.
it's hard.
It's
It's
so
hard to
easy.
read it, but it says animated by,
Yeah.
and they're just balancing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like it.
I would add that to the migration stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Should I forward this?
I don't
where
know.
would
I don't
where
know
would it be
how.
added?
I don't
Yeah.
know now, but I could put it
Oh,
on
but
the
maybe
page.
on the
I could put it on the page.
The page, or at the very end of the final video
right.
or something.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Send it to me. That's awesome.
They make me smile because it's just so silly.
Yeah.
I was watching Handmaid's Tale yesterday, the Hulu show. Oh man, dark. Yeah, it's getting real. But one thing I recognized was like, or maybe it was Schitt's Creek. It doesn't matter. A lot of those shows have multiple intros because there'll be like, you know, Pop and like MGM and like the you know, production studio. Like they each have their own clips and stuff. And I've never done, like my videos have like monkey pod intro, monkey pod outro, but like the more people who work on it, like it makes a lot of sense to make sure that, not like credits, but like that each person has their own like showcase. So I have no problem doing that.
Thank
Sweet.
you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I also,
We're gonna put them on. We should put that on Pete's
once
too.
this initial like launch thing is gone or done, I plan to give the video files, or at least the embed codes, to plus this Access Ally and Infusionsoft in case they want to host them on their own site. Right now, it's like I don't want anyone else hosting it because I want all the traffic.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, it's just going to be free content, and I will also add them to YouTube so that they're publicly accessible there. So I can totally add it before all of that.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'll send you an email with the link.
Okay.
So obviously from a self-serving standpoint, I love that idea.
I think it's
Like,
great.
that would be a really cool
It ticks all
thing.
the boxes and it
And
actually
we're
works
already
out better.
we're already beginning. You know,
we're already doing it.
Yeah, it's like it's underway.
Launching a podcast is a very
But
hot
the good news
topic.
is that we haven't. Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Podcasts are the new blog.
Yeah.
But we also haven't launched any of the animations. We haven't done any ads yet. So
Right.
the traffic hasn't changed.
Right.
Do we have Pete's like Google Analytics and stuff?
I haven't got any of that stuff from him
Okay.
yet, but it's.
We're gonna have
an
all
email.
that, and we can even talk about the process of getting the animations done,
Yeah.
depending on how deep we want to get into.
You should.
Totally.
I think you should go deep.
Yeah.
Like you should talk. Like we can feature
Like
it
we can
as
show
a
it, you know, the
thing.
storyboard that I showed you. Like
Definitely.
we can show all that stuff.
Cool.
Sweet.
All right.
I
Break.
I don't know when we should probably meet more seriously on.
This is
and
about
make
as serious as I get.
And
Mike.
no, we need to meet more seriously on a decision.
Just don't stand
On.
up at the mic. I may have to make huge warnings about that.
I get so inspired talking here, and then
It's been Dude Lunch.
that's
I'm
the
Brett
point,
Martin.
man.
Michael Edelman and Greg Jenkins. We are missing Josh Bretzal, the only other person in the world
He's
who spells
putting
the
out
Brett
fires.
in his name the correct way. He's out putting out fires. It's all good. See you next week. Peace out.
Want to say thanks to all the fans, everyone who supported, helped make this project possible. Appreciate the love.
not the man upstairs.
He knows.